In some workflows, such as when working with labels, it's important that all files contain a proper cut path. Very often, the cut path is a simple shape, such as a rectangle or rectangle with rounded corners, but it still needs to exist in the PDF file. Let me show you how to add a cut path if it isn't there. We'll use the example file we have here that does not have a cut path in it, and we're going to use a fix-up to add it. To create a fix-up, I need the fix-ups window, and that I can get to by going to Tools and then Fix-ups, or by using Command 5 on Mac, Control 5 on Windows. In the Fix-ups window, go to Create Fix-up, and that will open up the Fix-up editor. And in the Fix-up editor, we're going to start by adding a proper name. In our example, that could be something like Add Cut Path on Trimbox. The fix-up we want is the Shapes fix-up. So go into the search field and type Shape. And that gives me the Create and Apply Shapes fix-up with two tabs, Create Shapes and Apply Shapes. Create Shapes is going to define what shape is going to be used, and Apply Shapes will define how that shape is going to be used. So we start with Create Shapes, and we're going to do something very simple and go to From Trimbox. And then under Apply Shapes, we're going to change the options to Stroke Shape in front of current page content. And this will give us a vector element on the Trimbox. Now we do need to define how that vector element is going to look. And I can do that by open the parameters for Apply Shapes. And in those parameters, I can set color that is going to be used, dash patterns and other parameters. And I'm going to make this particular cut path a 100% magenta color. I'm going to create it as a spot color called cut path. Our cut path should not interfere with other elements in the file, so I'm going to set it to overprint. And this is not mandatory, I'm going to add it on a separate layer. Clicking OK saves those parameters in my fix-up. And now to test it, I could go to OK and then run it, but the easier way is simply clicking on Tests. And what you can see is that exactly on the Trimbox, a new cut path is added. So this was exactly what I wanted. Before we call it a day, let's take one more step and see what we would need to do if we wanted to have rounded corners instead of this simple rectangle shape we have now. So close the test window, go back to Create Shapes, because now we're modifying the shape itself. And here too, I have a parameter section, and I could say I want something that is a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger, so a cut path that is slightly inside or slightly outside my trim box. And I can say that I want rounded corners. So setting 3 mm in the rounded corner parameter will give me rounded corners with a radius of 3 mm. I can now go to Test again, and you can see that I still have a rectangle on the trim box, but now it has rounded corners with that 3 mm radius. So I can close my test window, and because I'm now happy with the fix-up itself, I can close my fix-up as well, and it appears in my list of fix-ups. The Create Shapes technology has many additional parameters that can be very useful. And it can also be used to add a varnish or an undercolor white. Don't hesitate to check out the documentation about it on help.calasoftware.com.